This instruction will, in addition to what you learned in Practice Notch, demonstrate how to place a log on the wall, how to scribe and cut the lengthwise groove, and how to place a relief cut in the top of the log. First, it may be necessary to peel the log you will be using. There are many ways to do this, and it will depend on the kind of log, the time of year, the location, and what equipment or resources are available to you. The most common methods are draw knives of different sizes and weights, peeling spuds, or high-pressure water. High-pressure water leaves a smooth, natural-looking log, and a draw knife will leave a different kind of finish. Place the log on the wall with whatever means you intend to use, and secure it with rolling dogs already in place. Check the ends of the log for the correct location. Then roll the log into the best position for scribing. This will be with the bow out and the straightest sides on the top and bottom, so that the space between this log and the one below will be as uniform as possible. Shift the log into a rough alignment on the wall in preparation for the preliminary scribe. Measure the gap between this log and the one below at a location just inside the intersecting wall. Go to the other end and register this measurement in a convenient place that will later be removed as the scarf is cut. Measure the gap at this end and mark it also on the log, using the same mark for the origin. Your purpose is to make the space between the logs as uniform as possible. This will mean lowering the high end or raising the low end of the log. At the same time, you may wish to bring the entire log down to a predetermined height. In order to do this, you will have to set the scribers to the measured gap less the predetermined scribe height at each end of the log. This could be done at each end of the log separately, or the two reference marks may be combined so that end A and end B have a common scribe deduction of, say, 60 millimeters or 2.5 inches, as represented by the red bar. End A and end B, each with the final scribe deduction, may be sketched separately or combined, as in this illustration. Now scribe each log end separately according to its height. To do this, set the distance for end B and complete that scribe. Then reset the scriber for end A before returning to the end of the log where you started. You should not have to check your scriber at the level board for these preliminary scribes. However, if the logs are dry, you may want to use some water in order to obtain a well-defined line. Remove the inside dog and roll the log in on the wall until the scribe is upward. The dogs can be used to control and to position the log. Cut these preliminary or location notches while up on the wall. Use the same sequence as was shown in the practice notch. That is to say, cut down at the center to the scribe line with the saw straight across the log. Then a second and third cut right on the scribe line and to the same depth. This notch is being cut slightly wide, and the position of the log will be dependent on an accurate fit at the top after the scriber relief has been cut in. When you have cut both ends, roll the notches down. Use care so that the heavy log will not bounce too much. Position the work roughly in line with the wall. The space between this new log and the one below should now be nearly equal at each end. Place a chalk line down the perceived center of the log, with the emphasis on weight rather than position. A curved log may require that the line be toward the outside at the ends and the inside at the center. Draw a plumb line at each end, originating with the chalk line. This line should only be a short mark at the top and bottom. Then bump this line into good alignment with the center line of the wall below. Now dog it firmly in place so that it will not move while you do the final scribe. The log should now exhibit a uniform gap. If not, you may want to raise one end or recut the other end. Check the entire length of the wall inside the notches until you are sure of the widest spot. Check both sides. Then register this width on the side of the log. This will be the scribe setting for the notches. Add approximately 6 millimeters or 1/4 inch to this setting to scribe the groove. This so-called overscribe will provide better bearing at the notches, and it might be increased under certain conditions. Set your scriber up carefully at the level board, then check at each scarf corner. If the scribe comes below the scarf, you will have a recurve situation. Mark the scribe location and adjust the scarf if required. When all 8 corners have been checked, scribe the notches as you did with your practice notch. That is, hold the scriber lightly in both hands, watch only the bubbles, and work at 45 degrees to the notch. Set the scriber again to the 6 millimeter mark and do the length of the log between the notches. Do both sides and look to be sure that the line is complete and has no missed places. Then open the scriber another 6 millimeters or 1/4 inch to do the end portion or overhang. Scribe the end of the log as well. It may be necessary to trim the end into line first. Add 5 millimeters or 1/4 inch relief in the center of the end. Take care when you cut this groove to keep it uniform for its entire length. Finally, add another 6 millimeters relief at the top of the notch to avoid any possibility of hang-up there. At this time, you may also want to lay out the scarf dimensions. This will be done with a suitable scarf board as you did with the practice log.